Welcome back to some more Create Integrated. After our last adventure, I am ready to dive into the Brass Age, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. We are going to place down our first blaze burner that we got last episode, and now place down a slab, and I can now start to functionally make brass, which is going to unlock a ton of new things for us. But this is merely the start. See, we need to get our hands on brass, which gives us a lot of different things. And for example, I can use wood to charge up this blaze burner. We can get that nice and fueled up. We're going to toss in some copper and zinc. This is going to start producing brass. But like I said, brass is just the starting point, as we're going to have to use this system to make things more efficiently. For example, precision mechanisms and many other things are going to be necessary soon. A goal ultimately is to have all of these mechanisms fully automated. That would be a really nice goal. But before then, I mean, we technically need to think smaller. So I'm going to be manually doing a lot of these things because we just don't have the tools just yet to, well, make these things all unlimited. So let's dive into the quest. Now that we've gotten here, we can do a lot of different things. We can dive into Ars Nouveau a bit more. We can also dive into just dire things, at least for the blaze gold tier of all of the stuff. We can start generating some power and getting the building gadget tools, which I definitely really want to do. However, this is going to require quite a bit of stress if I do plan on being able to charge these. But we also have continuing on and just simply making precision mechanisms. And the recipe for precision mechanisms is quite a bit cheaper here than your standard recipe if you're playing normal Create. And for those of you who are new to Create, yes, this recipe is significantly cheaper because the normal recipe has a 20% chance to fail. And when it fails, it will give you some sort of scrap material. And it also needs to be looped a few times, much like the recipe that we have over here. But like I said, it does have that chance of failing, but not with this recipe. Oh, and also from this recipe here, you do get 2 of them. And you know what? For the normal brass recipe, it's not too bad. For a stack of zinc and a stack of copper, you get 2 stacks of brass ingots out of that. Now, I think I know exactly what I want to strive for today, and that's crushing wheels. And getting our first initial batch of crushing wheels, while being challenging, is going to be probably one of the best things that we can work towards. And that's because crushing wheels, those things are going to open up a lot of automation possibilities. For example, we'll be able to crush cobblestone down into gravel, and then we can turn gravel into sand. And there are multiple different steps that we can take from there. But if we can turn cobblestone into gravel and so on and so forth, we can then wash said gravel and we have ourselves an iron farm. But we can also make sand, which also allows us to make a clay farm and a sand farm and a glass farm. And you see where I'm going here? It unlocks a lot of things. But now crushing wheels do require a lot of stress, but I think getting started, just getting them is a good goal, or at least setting up the crafter that'll allow us to make things in the future too. Now, to make a mechanical crafter, we are going to need brass machines, which is what we're going to be getting into. We're going to have a mechanical crafter that gets made from this in our smithing table. We also need brass casings. So casings are pretty easy, but actually getting this, well, that's going to require a casing in itself and all of these precision mechanisms. To make the precision mechanisms, we do need gold sheets, and we also need electron tubes. And electron tubes are normally kind of a pain to craft, but they're not going to be too bad here. However, we do need a lot of redstone because rose quartz requires 8 redstone and a single nether quartz for each one. So yes, that does mean back into the nether I go, and I am going to need some quartz. Let's see, I do have the blaze jet wand, which is really nice for allowing me to get around, but I do have to keep an eye on its durability. That is one of the things I've got to keep an eye on. So yes, I'm just going to spend some time farming up some nether quartz here. Also, by the way, another benefit of this blaze jet wand that we ended up getting as loot, by the way, from our quest, is that while you're holding it, you don't take fall damage. So that is something that you can use and abuse, and I do use and abuse it quite often. Now, nether quartz, yet again, is just one of those things that once we have crushing wheels, like, is something that we could possibly automate. So yes, we get sand, and then of course we haunt that sand, and then we wash that soul sand that we get from haunting. And wouldn't you know it, we have automated gold and basically quartz too. All fun things that I do plan on doing eventually. After collecting some quartz, I've got to start thinking about redstone, and I did see that there is some redstone markings over here, as if this cave is definitely filled with redstone. And it 100% is. Look at that. Oh yeah, this is going to be good because all of these right here, these like little redstone buds, they give you redstone. And so we can just vein mine and we can gather a bunch of redstone here, and most of this area is lit up. So like worrying about mobs and stuff is not even that big of a deal. Oh, and if you're playing along, by the way, and you want to find a redstone cave like this, well, you do need to look on your map for a redstone cave. You can use something called the Explorer's Compass, which is in the pack, that will allow you to find this biome, that'd be really helpful. By the way, since most of this cave is lit up, if we go ahead and change this from projectile, change our Conjure Mage Light and cast it on ourselves, well, we can give ourselves night vision, which is another fantastic thing, just to be able to scour our way through our caves by having this. Oh, it's so good. There's just so much redstone here. I mean, my inventory is already filling up, and there's also these massive redstone ore veins in here too. Once we have the ability to crush, by the way, also those blocks are very useful too. Like these can be broken down, I believe. Let's see. They can be smelted actually. Oh, so we could actually turn them right now if we really wanted to. Do you know what? I think I got plenty of redstone for right now. I mean, we got a backpack full. There's so much we got out of that journey. So let's go ahead and make as much of this rose quartz as we can. Look at that. Just to make a stack of these, 512 redstone is required. It is so much redstone to make this. But it is going to be well worth it, and we are going to need quite a few of these as we progress on. But, I mean, getting redstone, eventually we'll be able to fully automate redstone, as we can also automate iron. And there's many ways that you can automate redstone in this pack. Now, I don't want to sandpaper this by hand, even though that is definitely a part of Create. You can make some sandpaper, and you can sand this down, but what if I just use some sand, right? And we just sand this with air, like sand blast it. I mean, that is something that we can definitely do. We just need to place down a empty fan catalyst, which will go right here, and then place the sand in it. And we now have a sander. Yes, you heard me correct. We can toss this in. I don't think any of this, by the way, is used externally, right? No, yeah, we just toss this in, and it's automatically sanding it for us. This is great. I love this. And there we go. So no longer do you have to go through that tedious process. This is a really nice quality of life. And there we go. Polished rose quartz. Now this alone does have quite a few uses, but the main use is definitely the electron tube. And so there we go. I'm going to do 32 for right now, leaving the others for later on down the road. And I'm going to do about 32 of these inside of this mechanism pressing setup. So similar to everything else we've done so far, we can go ahead and take the electron tubes, just give it to them in their hand. And then we need to feed it andesite mechanisms, which we've made in this process. So it's just going to continue on making that whole operation and finish up by granting us 2 of these things, which, I mean, I can't complain about at all. These are super useful. Now, while that's in the works, I do want to make some casings real quick. And so I'm going to make a stick, a diamond stick, believe it or not. Also with grip on it. Yeah, I do have the grip on it, thankfully, so we can actually see this thing. I'm going to take 32 logs, and if we put this in my offhand, and use the actual stick here, what we can do is we can bulk place this down. So I'm going to just jump up, and there's 32 logs placed down just like that. And we need to go grab an axe so that way we can chop this whole thing. I think I have an axe in my inventory. And then, yeah, we'll just use the vein mine setup. There we go. All of those are chopped, and then vein mine, and voila. There we go. A ton of brass casings. So there we go. Precision mechanisms we have made, but I want to send it over into this setup too, so that way we can actually make the brass mechanisms, or brass machines, I should say. Now, currently I have the other filter in here, but we can go into the filter settings, and we can actually drag from JEI to swap this in. And now this is set to the brass, and that's how easy it is to actually swap this out. And so what I'm going to do is just throw in a few here. Let's see. This is going to split 4 ways. And so we do want 7 of the individual machines. So 7 casings. Like that. We can place that in. We'll make sure to place the 28 in here because 7 is how many we need to make 21 mechanical crafters, which is kind of what I'm after, right? So we'll throw the 7 in, and we'll begin this looping process. There it goes. It is funny that it does turn into a casing. That is just the, like, actual raw material. know what? I could probably, you know, I could modify all of this. Yeah, I mean, I could. I could. You know, just more Modpack dev work for the old Chosen Architect. You know, I'll make sure to send that right on to him. But looky there, just as the sun is setting, we now have our brass machines that are now being made. So now with the machines done, we can pull that out. And look at there, we are all ready to go. I mean, take a look at this thing. That is very, very cool looking. These are going to look really great when we start decorating our areas. But now the moment of truth, mechanical crafters, here we go. 21 of them to be exact, because that is exactly what we need to make our first crushing wheels. I do plan on like having this whole setup over here. I think I'm gonna set this off to the side for now. I mean, we'll probably have multiple of these in the future, especially when we start automating things with it and setting up actual functional auto crafting. But yeah, I'm thinking like right over here, we can create a little area for this crafter. Oh, and I'm also gonna finish up the pathway, because I do want to make a pathway that leads over to our blaze spawner right now. Here we go. Let's set this thing up. So I think I want the output barrel to be like right here. And so I'll start my mechanical crafter by shift right clicking it in this particular order. And wherever you shift click these blocks, they are going to automatically point in that correct direction, which is exactly what we want. And we need to build this out exactly the way that it does show inside of JEI for the crushing wheels, which involves a 3x3 starting on the bottom and then expanding out into a 3x3 in the center that does expand like this. We are going to need to go up one more. So just like so, boop, boop, and boop. And then we have the sides that need to go in, just like this. Look at that. We have ourselves our first little crafter. I'm thinking something like this looks really nice. Yeah, that's kind of like holding this thing up. You know what though? I should really thicken the beams out. Yeah, I think that is going to be necessary. Man, I tell you, I really do like these bunny hoppers. Like the ability to just jump up like this. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, now that looks a lot better. Now we just got to give this thing some power. So I do want to encase this. We can actually encase the cogwheels because of Create Encased, which is nice, with a lot of different materials from Create. And so now that cogwheel is here and we can slap on some starbunkles. Might as well put those guys to work in the back, and this is spinning, right? Maybe not. Actually break this. Let's just find out. This is spinning, but if I put this on here, oh, it does continue to spin. Interesting. And so this is technically working. Now, if you wanted to change like the orientation of the arrows here, you just want to make sure that whenever you do change these orientations, you are making sure that they all eventually end up into this barrel. Not like this one going here and this one going here. They all need to make it to a central location and then make it to the barrel with this crafter. Or technically no barrel at all. You don't really need an inventory. Whenever it finishes the craft, it will just spit the items out on the ground. And same if it fails the craft, it will spit all of the ingredients that you put in also out on the ground. So now here is the recipe for the crushing wheel. A ton of andesite on the outside. Then we have the logs and then some sort of stone on the middle. Not really logs, planks, right? And then the stone in the middle. Now, something we can do to make this a little bit easier if we're just crafting these, which we can use this crafter for many different things, but for right now, to make this easier to place in all the andesite, we can connect all of the sections where andesite would actually be placed in. That way, when we right click, what it's going to do is it's going to automatically fill, so long as we have enough material, it's going to fill all of those sections with andesite alloy, which makes this a whole lot easier to craft. Oh, and this feature right here is more than just for manual work. This works really well when you use these for auto crafting, by the way. I don't expect this to be the fastest operation in the world, but it's not too bad. The starbunkles, they do move at an okay pace. This going at max RPM though, it happens really fast. But you know what? For what we have and the fact that I didn't really put much effort into the stress that is creating this and making this work, I'd say that's a pretty decent speed right there. We could probably increase it even more because right now at its current speed is only using 32 SU, which I think just one starbuncle would be able to rotate at, because these produce 250. Oh, each one of these costs 32 SU. Interesting. Okay, so that is actually just enough having 3. But there we go. There's our 2 crushing wheels that are now in here. And I do want to make more than just 2 crushing wheels, but the fact that we now have crushing wheels opens up so many possibilities. So with these crushing wheels, this is going to help me with my ore processing. Like, it sounds weird, but it is going to grant us access to more experience. More experience means better enchants, which means looting. And it also means more products coming out of our things. So if we can crush down our raw material, we can then process it over here with water. And we can make like an auto compacting upgrade for our barrel, meaning that it can automatically handle converting all of the nuggets that gets produced into ingots. Now, setting up these crushing wheels is not the hard part. The hard part is just going to be simply powering the whole system. So I'm going to create a stacked version, and then we'll take our crushing wheels and I'm going to place them on the side of these chutes. The goal here is that we'll power these, put the items in, and it's going to drop through the chute. If we do it this way, it also limits us getting stuck in to the crushing wheels. It kind of prevents us from hopefully getting in there. At least that's what I hope. Please forgive me. I've just got to take care of some business here. Don't mind me. Now to power this, some water wheels are probably going to get the job done really nice. Now, 64 of them is more than enough. I'm not going to be placing 64 water wheels down here. But like a few water wheels and then like ramping this up would be a good, I think a good solution. Now to make the water wheel process a little bit easier, we can make ourselves a fluid container. So a fluid canister here allows us to collect multiple buckets of water and store it inside of here. And then whenever we need the water, we can just simply right click and place it. It's like a bucket that holds 8 buckets. So this makes this whole operation so much easier because we can just simply place all of these in like this. Now, another fancy little trick that we can use to help reduce the amount of gear ratioing that is going to need to take place with our base water wheels, that little trick is by utilizing a small water wheel. The small water wheel actually spins faster than the larger water wheels, but when it's connected to this, it will cause this water wheel to spin a little bit faster, which actually reduces the amount of gear ratioing that is needed in total. And so when I say gear ratioing, we're going large cog, small cog, then we're going large cog back to small cog. Whenever we do this, we'll just encase this so that way the shaft doesn't break like that. So we'll place this small cog and we continue this up until this like blue here that you just seen with the rotation turns like purple. That's when we're getting very close to the maximum rotation speed. So when I place this here, you can see that is now turned like pinkish purple color. I think we can go one more after that. So this is going to be literally max RPM, I do believe 256. Let's see. Yes, as you can see right here, I cannot go any faster. It just breaks the cog. Now I feel like learning how to power things becomes an art that you just figure out over time. But for example, right down here, I want to carry the power into the back, and I know that I can keep the rotation on both sides if I use an encased chain drive. And so I should be able to connect up a gearbox on both sides because we want these rotating into each other from the top down. So yes, we want them going like this. So the goal here is to carry the power into this. Now, I don't know if this is going to be rotating the correct way. In this case, it does look like it is spinning the opposite direction that I want, but that is easily fixed by just simply placing another gearbox. And so now I do believe these are rotating the correct direction. Yes, they are rotating into each other, which is what we want. And that right there is a beautiful solution to this entire crushing wheel power thing. Trying to figure out how could I make this look a little bit nicer. The crushing wheels are just one of those things that, man, just they are very bulky. I guess what I could do is open these up, and that looks a little bit nicer there. So now let's try some ore processing. Okay, so we'll take our raw iron here. I'm going to drop that in. That gets broken down, and it shouldn't take too long. Yes, it gets broken down into XP and then also the crushed raw iron. And we should get back the exact amount, but this crushed iron has the ability for us to get extra byproducts, which, like I said, is nice. And then we also get a byproduct of more experience, which is going to be really good for hopefully allowing us to get that fortune pick. Now over here for this barrel, we're going to upgrade this into a better barrel, and I'm going to put a compacting upgrade in this bad boy. So I'll first start off with a regular compacting upgrade, and then I definitely want to get this thing upgraded to the next tier because this one only allows you to do 2x2 recipes. But we need 3x3. So with a little bit of diamond and brass later, yes, we have some advanced technology in barrel form. Okay, so we'll take this over here, and I do want to get this placed in here, and I want to configure some things. So it says compact only uncraftable. That's going to be completely fine. But what we want to do is allow and only allow certain things, and that is going to be certain ingots that we want to be crafted. This is where a lot of the utility of sophisticated storage starts to really shine, and we can actually see how useful these barrels are going to be for a lot of operations. That literally cut out some of the more bulky things that Create has us do. Okay, so this just converted, and now we have redstone, and we also have iron. That went in here. And we want to say, hey, can you actually compact this? And if we turn this upgrade on, we should be able to do this by placing it in now. And you can see that it's taking the ingredients and it's compacting it automatically. And we can do this for all nugget types. And we can just preemptively drag those in because we know that we are going to want these to be compacted whenever we do certain recipes with them. And let's say we have a lot of this coming in too. We can even have it compact redstone into block form. It's not going to compact anything that is not reversible unless you change this, which then it can do. This is going to be super helpful for all of our zinc. Zinc, whenever it is crushed, will give us the zinc, the raw zinc, which when washed gives us gunpowder, which is really good, especially later on when we have an elytra. And copper, by the way, is also pretty darn fantastic because copper, when broken down, I mean, this gives us clay, which, I mean, I could always use some extra clay here. I mean, look at that. Already we have so much XP too that's starting to build up. And so now remember how earlier I said redstone can be automated. This is kind of one of the ways that redstone will be automatable in the future, because we will be able to automate the production of iron, but not in your typical wash with gravel method. No, we'll actually be able to use the crushing wheel to be able to get some of that crushed iron by utilizing some crimsite to do this. And crimsite, well, it does have a recipe for being automatable down the road. Oh, and also don't be scared by blaze cakes, because there are ways of superheating blaze burners that don't actually require blaze cakes. Just pointing out a few things, you know, for example, biofuel. Now, you know what? Let's make a few more fans here, and I definitely want to upgrade the system that I currently have. Right now we're only blasting, and we're also only doing the washing. So we need one that is going to be for cooking food. We also should probably set one up that is going to be for haunting, since we now unlocked haunting. I think this will be a good thing. We can place all of these next to each other now that we have these fan catalysts, and we can do something like this. For example, that's the blasting one. Over here we can have one that's for water, and then we already have the sand one, for example. And let's see, for smoking, I think we can just light this. That works for the smoking. And if we do this one over here, let's actually remove this. We'll take this, place a blaze burner, and we can also do smoking on this, but we're going to switch it to haunting. And I think we can just click on it with soul soil. There we go. And that turns it to haunting. Very nice. Now, as much as I love this, I think it needs to be scooted back. So yes, I'm gonna bring this whole thing back. Now, I've gone ahead and added some placards after getting this thing moved back so we can identify exactly what this is. So I'm gonna put a blast furnace for blasting recipes. The smoker is going to be for smoking recipes. Then we have sandpaper for sanding, a water bucket, which is going to be for our washing recipes. And then I think a piece of soul sand is going to be just fine to identify all of these. This is great. This is a nice little workstation. I think this whole area is just slowly starting to come together. And this is going to be where a lot of basic crafts are going to be handled before we can start building out large-scale infrastructure. And that's just the name of the game with Create. You've got to start small before you can, well, expand. And expand we shall very, very soon. And if expansion is something you're interested in, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up so you don't miss a future episode. And of course, with that being said, it's now time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Follow the Stars. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and just supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. You absolute boss. Making series like these possible in the first place. Guys, I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.